This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Do you work in the film industry? Are you freelance? Or perhaps you have a 9 to 5? No matter what you do, mental health affects us all. I struggled early on in my career with the uncertainty of if and when I would ever work again, struggling to pay my bills or simply with anxiety. Don't know about you, but being an actor, it's very important for me to maintain structure in the downtimes, and I found not only exercise, but talking to someone for me was a game changer. And so Life in Film has partnered with BetterHelp to provide you with access to the largest online therapy service in the world. And it can all be done from the comfort of your own home, from a phone, tablet or laptop. No commute, cutting down travel costs, and most importantly, it's affordable. With over 1,000 therapists in the UK, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise in mental health. If you need someone to talk to and you're thinking of giving therapy a go, BetterHelp is a great option. And being a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. That's betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. Welcome to A Life in Film. I'm Elliot James Langridge. I'm an actor, writer, and apparently a podcaster, and I love film. This is the podcast that we ask our guests from in front and behind the camera, how did they get their foot in the door? What was the key to unlocking their success? What's their story? Previous guests include Scott Adkins, Andrea Riseborough, Toby Jones, Jason Fleming, and Wumi Masaku. Our guest today is actor Tony Curran. Tony has been in the business for 40 years. We talk about what it's like to go from being a postman to having small TV roles in Grange Hill to being thrown onto Hollywood blockbusters such as Pearl Harbor and Gladiator. Why his mum hit Sean Connery and his most embarrassing moment with Dustin Hoffman. From working with Spielburg to playing Vincent Van Gogh. More recently, Tony has been in the hugely popular Ray Donovan and has shared the screen with Bryan Cranston in Your Honor.
It's a life in film. 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 Woo!
Hey, Elliot.
Hey man, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, very good. Thanks so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you. Yeah,
Have
no.
you got one of those new iPads that moves with your face?
Yes, it's.
I just saw it. I was like, oh.
It's weird. I was doing a Q&A with Tracy Ishifor and Martin Compston and Claire Mundella, our producer of Mayflies, and I was sitting there, and Martin was like, "Have you got like a cameraman following you?" Like a steady cam. I said, yeah, I've got a steady cam operator, full, No, I just said it's one of these iPads that when you move, is it distracting?
I know it's good. I like it. It's very professional. I mean, I feel like I need to get one for self-tapes.
Right.
It's the way to do it, obviously.
That's my piece of advice for self-tapes. There you go. Get yourself an iPad.
I'll use
Pro.
that little clip bit right there. Get
Right.
yourself an iPad.
That's funny. Where are you?
I'm in London. Are you're out in LA, are you at the moment?
I am, but at this moment I'm actually in Mammoth.
Oh right.
A winter wonderland.
Oh wow, yeah, very different weather.
We just arrived last night for a few days skiing.
Very nice.
Before I head back to London on Tuesday.
Oh, lovely.
To start a job that I'm gonna do my best to not tell you about.
Well, I'm sure we can warm up to that. I'll try and get it out of you later down the line.
Of course. I you seem like the type that could do that, yeah.
I want to say first off that I mean, obviously I sent the email and I mentioned that I watched Mayflies with a mate who's been dealing with cancer. He's going through chemo right now, and it was a program I was quite surprised that he wanted to watch, to be honest. But he found it really almost like therapeutic. He really enjoyed it, and he got a lot from it. And I guess he felt like he wasn't alone watching it. And for me, it was an emotional thing just watching it. But I can't imagine what it was like for him. But he said that your performance and the whole show, he just really enjoyed it. And it's given him a kind of, it's almost given him a bit of peace with his situation, because he's only just, you know, he didn't find out very long ago, and you know, the chemo's only just started. So, but he really did. He found it very kind of touching, and he really got a lot from it.
Wow, wow, sort of cathartic in some way,
Yeah,
maybe. Is he?
I
How
mean,
old is he? How old is
so
he?
he's in his early 40s. And actually, a part of the, you know, one of the, I don't want to give anything away about the show, but you talking about your symptoms at the beginning and stuff, and it's kind of similar to what he had. And when he told me about those symptoms, I thought, oh, that's a really strange. I wouldn't necessarily, my head wouldn't go straight to cancer. Um,
Right.
and so, you know, watching it was like, oh wow, this is really kind of close to home. But it was just such a powerful show. For, I mean, anyone that hasn't
Yeah.
seen it that's listening to this now, urge anyone to watch it. And it really is harrowing, but it's such a well done show.
It's obviously it's Andrew O'Hagan's uh lovely novel, powerful novel, award-winning uh novel. But it was as you saw in the show when me and Martin are together, and Tully and Jimmy are at that table in his back garden, and he says, you should write about us, Noodles. We knew how to live. Kind of always gets me, that line, because that's what his name was Keith, who Tully was Keith, who I actually played, and Andrew was Jimmy. So basically, he said that to his friend. Keith said that to Andrew O'Hagan, because he knew his time was coming to an end, sadly, tragically. And he said, we've had a wild life. You should write about us, So, and there he sort of a sort of an homage to his great friend, sort of a memory. And he wrote the novel, and now people seem to be, enjoying responding to the show, Elliot. So that's it's very humbling for everybody involved, So well, I guess we're thrilled and overwhelmed.
Mm-mm. When it comes to, obviously you're playing a real person in that, and obviously dealing with the cancer element of the show, how do you prepare for something like that? What's your kind of, I don't know, it's a lot. How
Yeah,
do you prepare as an actor?
it's well, I was first of all, I was when I got offered it, I was thrilled, but I was also terrified.
Okay.
I was scared. I think it's good. It's a natural response for anything in life that might challenge you in any walk of life. Well, speaking as an actor, you're like, oh gosh, there's a lot of this is a very serious subject. Cancer, euthanasia, and obviously it's affected. Well, who hasn't it affected? So I felt a little scared, but I think that's good, because you're alive when you're feeling like that, and you've got to respond and see how you can see how you prepare for it. I went to a place called the Maggie Centre in Glasgow, and I talked to a lot of people who deal with terminally ill cancer patients, and there's 24 of those cancer centres around the UK, and they're incredible. I went to one of them, and I'm not sure if you can say I had an epiphany, but I definitely, without sounding, dramatic, but I had a moment when I spoke to these people, and they were telling me these beautiful, tragic, heart-wrenching, sometimes horrific stories of people that had suffered, and people that have come through chemo and come through the process of all that, and it really hit home with me. My father died of mesothelioma cancer when he was 63. It took him very quickly, in 6 months from when he was diagnosed. And I guess you as an actor, you use that as well. You use your history, you use your past, you use what touched you as a human being. And I remember just going out into the backyard, and there's a little yard there, very beautiful, beautiful design. The Dutch designer who designed these buildings that the Maggie Centre's in. And I just went out the back, and it's all covered in trees. It's all, very idyllic. And it started to rain, and I was listening to some music, and I just sort of had a moment about, I was quite moved by the experience of talking to all these incredible, givers and helpers at the Maggie Centre. So, and I kind of, it kind of moved me greatly, and I sort of just had a bit of a connection with that, I guess. And it made me think, I can do this role. But I also, I meditate a lot. I try to meditate every day. And I actually went to my daughter's waving at me. I went to a hypnotherapist before I went to Scotland, and did about 3-4 sessions with this woman. And people are like, well, what did you do that for? I said, well, I was just trying out, see what I could, I mean, our conscious mind is all there, and we have these thoughts and yada, yada, yada. But there's so much in our unconscious that we don't tap into, I think. And I wanted to tap into that for the, for all elements of the role, I guess. And some of my friends laughed at me. What are you doing that for? What's that all about? I'm like, fair enough. Horses for courses, I don't care if you have a laugh, but at the end of the day, it's how you feel as an individual, an actor, an actress. Preparing for a role, you do whatever you got to do. I think, to make you feel when you get on set that you're prepared, you're ready, and you're malleable. I think actors, we have to be as malleable as possible. We have to bring ideas to the set, and then just you work as an ensemble with the director, the other actors, and then be ready to try anything. And sometimes be ready to fall, be ready to fail, but then okay, I try that, it didn't work, let's try something else. I get it. Sometimes we have time restrictions, and certainly on mayflies we had plenty of that. But no, I just went and a hypnotherapist, this woman I went to see, and she was incredible. And I sort of tapped into triggers for me, things that could set me off, or could and sort of emotional or other areas of that. And I sort of it was quite an emotional time going to see this woman. But that's not for everybody, eh? But I was I'm sort of an open-minded person, and I was like, I want to try this to see if it can help me. But but also on the day when it comes down to it, it's the script, it's what's in the story, it's what's written by the quill, whoever the writer is, and then what's on that script, that's what you take from it, and then it's scene by scene, moment by moment, and you prepare as best you can. But and also the other actors, working with Martin and Ashley and Tracy and everybody, it was everybody was so present that it was very helpful to bring it off the page, as it were, and make these characters live. Excuse my long-winded answer, Elliot.
No, it's really interesting. What did you know Martin Compston before you shot this? Because the relationship there is so, and I know it's your job obviously to make it natural, make it believable, but it really was that bond there. It felt really genuine, and it felt so real and reminiscent to my relationship with some of my mates. Kind of the banter and the joking around, even if a serious situation has arisen. Did you know each other?
We did. We did a film called Red Road years ago, that 2005, 2006, that Andrea Arnold directed, that we actually went to the Cannes Film Festival with. It was up for the Palme d'Or.
Wow.
And I ended up winning the jury prize, which was wonderful. Kate Dickie was in it as well, who's incredible.
Wow. I have to check that out.
Yeah, check it out. It's a pretty intense film. But I worked with Martin on that. That was 16, 17 years ago. So we'd known each other quite a while, and we're both daft Celtic fans, you know. So there's that bonding as well. And we just became good friends. He actually came to America one time when I was in LA, living on West Hollywood on Sweetser. And he jokes about this in an interview, and he said, Tony Curran, you know, he really looked after me, and he had me sleeping in his kitchen linoleum floor. And I went, hang on a minute, you weren't on my floor, you were on the couch. And he said, no, I was on the kitchen floor because there already was somebody on your couch. And I was like, it was sort of a, you know, early 2000s, you know, it was a Tony Curran's YMCA, home for, you know, homeless strays and actors, you know.
Yeah.
We look after each other. So he came over there for a while, and we hung out in LA for a bit. We've been, you know, hanging out in London and Scotland, going to see football games. But I think a relationship in that film was quite. We sort of became great friends, you know. And I think that casting wise, the casting of this was you know, maybe a really crucial part of it, because their relationship had to be so I don't know, an effortless friendship sort of way that you mentioned earlier about your friends, a sort of a joking, sarcastic, you know, always making fun of each other, that sort of vibe. But there's a real tenderness there, and you can tell that they're great friends and they love each other. But I think because we didn't have a lot of time on this, it was only like 5 weeks. It was something like someone said 50, it was 27 days shooting, 53 locations. So there was a lot to do. Yeah. So the fact that me and Martin maybe just sort of hit the ground running was, I think, if it was other actors maybe that, you know, didn't know each other, of course, definitely could have worked, but it might have been more challenging. But we trust each other, you know. And with Martin Compston, you can't really, well, my experience, you can't really hit a bum note, or you'll smell it, you know. You know, or you know, if it doesn't feel genuine or a truthful nature to it. But I think we both felt really comfortable with each other, and I think that was Kelly who cast it. It was a piece of very good casting, you know.
And all the people that play you young, and all that casting was brilliant. The whole thing was cast really well in a way where you think, God, if you did get one of those relationships wrong, the whole thing just wouldn't work as well. And I think that's what made, I don't want to give away to the audience who haven't seen this, but the sort of end sequence where they go to Switzerland, that whole build up to that, and when they're there and they're all at the table, that whole thing, just because you've had all the flashbacks and you've had all the other, like, them young and their relationship now, it's such a powerful moment. And when it ends, you're like, is that, you know, do you know what you like? I want to see more. But it just, it works so well, and it's a testament, as you say, to the casting and obviously the great writing. But that's such a powerful moment. It's hard to watch.
It is hard to watch, and a lot of actually we we had a little premiere on Wednesday evening in Los Angeles. I don't know if that's illegal or not, but there you go, sue me. But yeah, we had at a friend's house, and we put up a big screen, because I've only watched the show, you know, on an iPad like the one I'm on now. I haven't really had time, or I've been, you know. So, but this was a sort of a little big cinema screen, and a bunch of friends came over, and you know, we had some food and drinks and stuff, and a lot of people watched it and were very moved by it. Some so that they had to leave, you know. It's sort of obviously it hit home too much for many people, and but that ending and the music as well is just I mean, the composer is just incredible as well. The music. I was just following their composer Stephen on Instagram last night, and I was just watching him. This sort of visuals of them, rehearsing and putting the tracks together for the show and for the end of it, and it's just so evocative and powerful. It's like the cello and there's violins and there's the piano. It's just stunning, So
No,
the music,
the whole thing's great.
Great.
Yeah, I want to on a sort of cheerier note, because obviously
Yes.
as amazing as the show as it is, it's a dark subject matter. But to go back to the beginning when you first started acting and you first became interested, what was the initiation? What was the thing that kind of got you excited about trying to be an actor? And can I ask as well? I did see that. I don't know if this is true. Were you originally a postman before you were an actor?
I was, yeah. I was a postie.
So how did that change? What happened there? Please tell me.
I wasn't a very good postie. El Postino. No, I just did it when I was like 15, 16 years old in Glasgow. I just left school. I left school at 15. For me, my academic grades at school weren't. I wasn't setting the heather on fire, you might say. It wasn't. I didn't have a great time at school, although I found drama at school. Mrs. Skillen and Mr. Black, who were my drama teachers at Holyrood School, which is the biggest sort of Catholic secondary school, high school in Scotland. 2,000 pupils. It was wild, but I ended up. I'd leave school. I left school, and then I ended up, doing odd jobs and working here and there. But then I got a job as a postman, and I'd have a mail round, and I sort of did that for about a year and a half or something. But I don't know if it was my calling, as it were. But it was nice to, have a couple of quid in my pocket, at the end of the week. But as I was doing that, I was still working, doing some, youth theatre stuff and things like that. Glasgow Schools Youth Theatre, Scottish Youth Theatre, that's sort of where I got into it. I guess in life we all need some way to express ourselves. In whatever that may be, not just as an actor, but in any other walk of life, whatever we do, recreationally or sports or socially, culturally. But I guess I had a lot of energy as a kid, and I guess, I was trying to place it somewhere. And I guess drama was something that sort of, thankfully, took me in, or I sort of opened myself up to be to want to be part of that. It was, but but looking back, actually this year I'll be 54, and without a word of a lie, that this is 40 years I've been doing this.
Wow!
Because I started when I was 14, which is kind of crazy. To say that. But I hope people don't think he's an old bastard. He's past his sell-by date. But hey, no.
That's it. Now you've said that.
I've been doing that. Yeah, he's done. Get the hook off. But no, I've been doing this a while. So, but
that is crazy.
It's wild. But yeah. I started on a BBC STV thing called Stookie with David Mackay and an actress called Caroline Patterson and Lenny O'Malley, and that was when I was 14 years old. That was my first gig. So that's when it kind of kicked off for me. So I'm very grateful and very thankful that I'm still here, doing what I'm doing, and still. But you never stop learning doing this, So, and so hopefully, I can keep
Yeah, well,
keep
long
learning.
may it continue.
Yeah, indeed, trucking away, Elliot. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like 40 years is crazy. Like, 'cause I'm not just saying this, but you don't seem old enough to be able to say that. 40 years
yeah,
it's an impressive amount of time.
yeah.
Do you,
I've got a mental age of 12 though, so maybe that
that helps. That helps.
that does help. Yeah,
That helps if you're in the industry, like in any facet.
yeah.
That helps.
Yeah,
I wanted,
I was watching a little clip. I watched these little clips of actors, from De Niro to Glenn Close or Brando or Jack Nicholson, or there was one with Kirk Douglas, and someone asked him about what's a most important part of being an actor, and Kirk Douglas was like, well, you have to be like a child, you have to be in touch with your inner child, your kid, especially when you're running around as a gangster chasing after Burt Lancaster or shooting at him or something. He made some sort of funny gaffe, and he was in his 80s at this point, Kirk Douglas, and he was sort of saying, if you're dressing up as a cowboy and running around like that, it's kind of funny, he was sort of laughing about it, but he was saying you have to keep in touch with your you're a big kid, I mean, you get paid to get dressed up. You might put on another accent, funny, strange accent. You might have a wig on. You're on stage, or you're on television, or you're on film. Yeah, it's a it's a great job, but at times, you have to pinch yourself, and so it is an amusing way to make a living as well sometimes. But yeah, my point being, sorry, I digress, about keeping in touch with your inner child.
I think that's great that it comes from someone like him, who's he's one of the most iconic actors who ever lived, and he's still at that age back then was like,
Yeah,
the big kid. It's quite
totally.
humbling to hear that.
It is, yeah.
I wonder, obviously I mean, seeing the credits that I mean, I was obviously fully aware of what you'd done, and I'm a fan of your work, but then to actually do my homework for this podcast, I was going through and I was like, wow, like there's so many things that I didn't know that you were in the early days as well, like before you became like, this person that people know. You went from like we actually share two credits, which makes me laugh. We both done The Bill, and we've both done Primeval.
Right.
Unfortunately, I haven't done the Hollywood films that you've done, not yet. But
Not yet, not yet.
not yet. But how did it feel when you did? You went from like, doing A Touch of Frost to then going and doing something like Gladiator or Pearl Harbor. The differences between those two things. Can you tell the audience kind of, what that's like, the difference between those two sets?
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess, when you do Taggart or Grange Hill, Touching
Grange Hill.
Evil.
I saw that. I was like, oh my God,
briefly,
Grange Hill.
that was a brief en passant performance cameo, or The Bill, or things like that. Yeah, no, it was always fun to do that. But then, I was lucky enough to, when I was in my 20s, work with Antonio Banderas and Omar Sharif, and go to Vancouver for 6 months. I had a little small role in Gladiator and Pearl Harbor. But I just guess that it seems like that you up the ante, as it were. It's everything's there's more people. There's a huge budgets, and they're just the gas. There seemed to be a little bit more pressure turned up on some of those bigger projects. Granted, Pearl Harbor or Gladiator, I had a little cameo in both of those, but 13th Warrior had a larger role. But I mean, I came on set one day to do a wardrobe fitting on Pearl Harbor, and I was only playing this engineer, a Spitfire engineer. Michael Bay obviously was the director, and I went in just to do a wardrobe fitting. As I was leaving, it was in England, one of these lovely, in Kent somewhere, one of these lovely country mansions. But there was a few Spitfires around. There was like 3 of them, and there was an airstrip, or a grassy. They'd created an airstrip, And it was Ben, what's his name, played Batman, who was in it, the actor.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, and a lovely other actor. And as I was leaving set that day to come back the next day or the day after to shoot this scene, I heard the radio. We need Tony. Is Tony Curran still on location? Well, and I know he just left. He said, "What can you get him back, please? We need him now." So we turned around and I said, "Oh, what am I going back for?" And then they went to the radio and they said, "Oh, we're going to shoot that scene in half an hour." And I was like, "Okay, what?"
Oh wow!
Like, we're not. What things have changed. We're not going to shoot it tomorrow or the next day. We're going to shoot it in the next half an hour. We've moved some things around. So apparently there's a tracking shot of about 100 feet. There's a track, camera, Ben Affleck, this other actor, a walk and talk, and they basically talk for good 30 seconds. And as they come to the end, the last part of this 30-40 second walk and talk, the camera in one shot pans round to me as I'm standing on the wing of a Spitfire, and I say,
"Two didn't come back, sir. We counted only 11.
And just as I say that, he whips, and the 4 Spitfires fly into shot over my head. So I'm like, so when you go from Touch of Frost, I guess, to shooting that, especially when you weren't expecting to be shooting it, and you got to, you have to nail it. I guess I got a little bit nervous, but
oh my god, the pressure!
3 takes. And then they sort of visually put in some more Spitfires later, but it was the fact that you could hear the Spitfire in the background going. And have you ever heard a Spitfire? Those Rolls-Royce engines, they're beautiful, but they're ominous, and you can hear that coming. That gets sort of down this little valley, and the closer it gets, they're talking, and obviously they might have to revoice it because of the sound and all that, but. The noise of the Spitfire and the camera's getting closer, and I'm like, okay, just don't screw this up, right? Just make sure you hit your mark and
the pressure,
see your line. So anyway, I guess the enormity of big productions like that with Ridley Scott or Gobet, John McTiernan, who did Die Hard and The Hunt for Red October, Warrior, they ups the ante. But you're in your 20s and at the time in my early 30s, and you're kind of I don't know, there's a sort of fearlessness about it sometimes, and you sort of go, "Oh, this is a great opportunity. Let's have fun," which is the most important thing. I was listening to Gary Oldman, or he was talking, and it's like, just a lot of actors, we beat ourselves up, I've done that. We get so nervous and you give yourself a hard time, but in auditions or when you're performing, it's just like, if you're prepared enough, just go out there and just have fun, enjoy yourself.
100%. How do you find like improvisation and things like that? Because I know that strikes fear into the eyes of a lot of actors, but I personally, I love it because I'm dyslexic. So if someone goes, "Throw the script away and just make it up," I'm like, great.
Yeah. No.
How do you find it?
I agree. I mean, as long as you've got a good idea of who your character is, or what the scene, what's the objective of the scene, in a sense, instead of just rattling on, improvising, talking for talking's sake. If you have an idea, where is there an end game to this scene, or are we just sort of dropping an idea of an argument or something funny or whatever this in situ, whatever it may be, then yeah, I love improvising. I love it. Even if you're on script, off script, if you're you've got dialogue that's in the script, but then you go off and improvise, but then go back to it. I've done that before, and it's I think the director or in the editing suite afterwards, you can pick out some really nice nuanced, interesting moments from doing improv, and I think that can be helpful if you have the time and the luxury to do that. But I love improvising. Me and my friend Kate Dickey, we when I auditioned for that role in that show film Red Road, we were doing a lot of improvising in the audition actually. And I was with Kate, as a girl I know from drama school, Royal Scottish Academy in Glasgow. But we improvised during an audition once, the two of us together, and it was I guess the director was there seeing what's the chemistry between these two actors, that may have a sort of a sexual or a sensual relationship, and we were sort of improvising. So I think, I think it's a great way to just to dig stuff up from the character, or see what comes out. You don't know what you're going to say, you don't know what you're going to do, but if you have a fair idea who your character is, or something about the scene, what's going on, then maybe you can unearth some stuff from that, which I find compelling and very and can be really and also you just don't know what another actor's going to do when you're improvising, which also can be you can find gold from things like that as well.
Sometimes you can find gold, but also sometimes you set each other off, and then you're like, we're not going to get through this now. And you just start laughing, and you're like,
where's this going? Exactly. Where's this going?
Now for a quick break. Are you a writer, director, actor, costume designer, perhaps makeup artist? Are you interested in camera? This is the place to share your journey. We want to hear from you. How did you start your career? Has it started yet? And perhaps, if you're feeling brave, share with us your most embarrassing film-related moment. So slip into our DMs at Life in Film Pod on Instagram. Check out the Patreon at patreon.com/Life in Film, where you'll get episodes early and uncut, amongst other treats. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy this episode, please leave us a positive rating. Add us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Life in Film Pod, and find our video episodes on YouTube by searching Elliot James Langridge Life in Film. Essentially, please like and subscribe everything. It makes a huge difference. Thank you. This is also a space we'd like to fill with sponsors and advertisement for like-minded podcasts, so please get in touch. And back to the show. When it comes to, obviously, you've worked a lot, and for someone like me looking at your career, it feels like you've never stopped working. You've always got great jobs. There must have been times where you were out of work and you were like, what am I going to do? Is this right? Those kind of down times. What do you do to sort of cope with that? Do you have hobbies or coping mechanisms that kind of get you through the dry spurts?
Yeah, golf.
Very good, very good. Are you one of those guys that will go and do a film because it's near a good golf course?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Exactly.
Totally. I definitely. Is this near Carnoustie? No, is it? No, I am Augusta. No, I am. No, I mean I've had plenty of downtime, my friend. Many actors have. But I tend to, I don't like to sit about the house and watch TV because it's very depressing. But I've always, I always work out. I go to the gym, I keep fit. I've always done that. I sort of meditate and try to calm my mind because it goes a bit, you're always thinking, when's the next gig coming from? I think physically and mentally, if you just kind of prepare yourself. I mean, I've been in my 50s now, but when you're younger, I did the same though. I always sort of try to keep fit and stuff like that. Or I read plays, or get into sort of interesting books about autobiographies on actors and stuff like that. I always found that interesting. Reading stuff about the business, and I'd always meditate. I'd always do that as well because I'd always get ahead of myself. Your mind is always racing ahead. Oh, you know, where, what, why, when, when's it going to happen? And if you do that, we still do that. It can drive you mad, you know. But you know, I played golf. I started playing golf in my 30s, and I'd keep fit a lot.
I think it's good to have a regime, isn't it? If you have, like, say, fitness, something like that. And
totally.
It's funny that you say that, you know, sitting around and watching TV is depressing. For most people, the idea of, you know, they've got their 9 to 5 job, like, you can sit around and watch TV. But for an actor, like, to sit down and watch another actor acting in a job that you didn't get or you maybe auditioned for is like the worst case scenario.
Yeah,
you're like, no, I need to go out and go to the gym. I need to do something or write a script or whatever it may be.
Daytime television, though, Elliot. I lived in Peckham, or I lived in Kilburn or Islington. I lived in London, and if you get up and you get, you know, some daytime television would come on, and you'd be like, oh, and Oprah or something else.
Homes Under the Hammer or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. This Homes Under the Hammer, a classic. You know, and what is it? The Antiques Roadshow. Oh my God! 3 hours later, what time is it? But Also, I have a daughter now, and when I'm not, you know, working, there's always something to be done around the house or stuff like that. But I think it's good to keep the mind and body active, you know, definitely, because
100%. No, 100%. The I do want to ask you about, like, the different roles that you've played, all these things, and I know it's hard to kind of pick a favorite or kind of, you know, favor a certain project over another, but was there a moment in your career where you went, oh, actually, this is where I'm supposed to be, and this part has really kind of put in stone that I'm in the right place, right time, and I'm doing the thing that I should be doing?
It's a good question. Hey, it's a good one.
You're like, a good question, but I can't.
A good question. I have no idea what to say, though. He's going to make it up now. No, well, what springs to mind is actually, I don't know if it was like in a moment of like, oh yeah, I can do this, or what was there was a master class with Janet Suzman, Shakespeare. She's a wonderful actress, English actress, Shakespearean, classical actress, film, theatre, television. She was coming up to do a master class at my drama school, actually, when I was 21, 22 in Glasgow at the Royal Scottish Academy. It's now called the Conservatoire of Glasgow. But she came, and the people were doing like monologues and duologues from As You Like It and Much Ado About Nothing. I did a Benedict speech from Much Ado About Nothing, and I do much wonder that one man seeing how much another man is a fool when he dedicates all his behaviors to love. That one. Anyway, so for a while I was doing it as sort of an RP accent, talking like that, you know, which is all very well. And Ted Argent was the head of the college, and he was basically he'd say to me one day, I'd been rehearsing for like two weeks on this, you know, and he's like, Jimmy, you know, you're doing well, but it's, you know, and he'd turned to me and he said, why don't you try it in your own accent? And I was like, what? My own accent? Are you mad? You know, because at the time it was all like, you know, I mean, when they did Shakespeare back in Jacobean times, back in the day, you know, men playing women, vice versa, regional accents were the thing, you know. Everybody had regional accents. Received pronunciation, you know, maybe, I don't know if it was around or if it was, you know, it certainly wasn't as, you know, like it is nowadays. But anyway, I ended up dropping the RP accent and just doing it in my own accent. So it was like a Scottish Benedict, you know. Sounds like a breakfast. But so I ended up doing it. And so I was the last up out of all the people. It was a place, it was an Athenaeum, and there was loads of people there. And I ended up coming out, and Janet Suzman, she said, and now for a Scottish Benedict. because she had seen little tapes. We'd done little tapes, and she saw a little bit of it beforehand. And she critiques everybody afterwards. And basically, I got up and I did this Benedict speech, which is talks about this woman and how he won't be with this woman unless she has hair like this, unless she can play the violin and at the end of it, and I end up saying it, and a woman, she'll have good discourse, an excellent musician, and her hair shall be. It was going quite well at this point, by the way. People were laughing, which is a great buzz for an actor. Anybody will tell you if you're doing a comedy or a stand up, the audience are giggling away. I was feeling pretty good, but at the end of it, I ended up saying, and her hair shall be, and the line is, whatever colour it please God. So I ended up going, she should be an excellent musician, a woman of great discourse, an excellent musician, and her hair shall be ginger. Yes, her hair shall be ginger. Anyway, the sort of placement, they started laughing, and I was obviously just having a laugh myself, and improvising on Shakespeare. but then they sort of clapped, and I sort of got a good reaction. And Janet Sussman turned around to me, and she went, "Thank you, Tony." And then all she said was, "You can sit down." It was, she didn't have any notes for me. And then of course I got a bit cocky, and I said, "Do you want me to try it without the chair?" Anyway, and she sort of
very
laughed.
good though.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So sorry about that long-winded story, but basically, I guess, I don't know, as a kid doing a bit of Shakespeare on stage, I'm not saying that was a moment of this is it, this is what I've got to do, but it was a memorable moment, Elliot, and one of like any actor will tell you, it was like, oh, I want more of this, It was
you
like
got in your flow state,
opening a vein, as it were, but just like when you get that reaction, it was just a monologue I was doing. It was a little sort of a class, a Shakespeare sort of workshop, but I just felt, oh, this is you try as a kid, no matter what you're doing, if you're trying to be an actor or you try to be a plumber or you try to be a doctor or a nurse or whatever you try to do, I guess as human beings, I do anyway, you crave connection. I want connection with people, I mean, you're not always in the sense of, you want adulation, but as an actor, it's nice when you get a reaction. You can't deny that, because we live in this in a world where we're creating an emotional response. That's you're a performer, you're an actor. It's our job to put a mirror up to society and show people who we are as human beings. And I guess in many ways that's what actors do. Make you laugh and make you cry. I'll show you what you're like, how you behave, how you should behave. But anyway, I'm wittering on. But just the idea of becoming an actor to me was I guess it was exciting. The possibilities, the different characters you can play. So
I think that it's funny, isn't it, the difference as well between stage and film. You say, getting that reaction from the audience is such a big thing, and then if you do a movie, you're not really seeing that reaction until you maybe watch it in a cinema with people. So it's such a strange delay, isn't it, between the two things? But I think that's a really good place to sort of start wrapping up, because I've wasted way more time than I promised I would. I was like, it'll be 20 minutes. But I just want to ask you two more things. These are kind of, it's like kind of just a bit of fun, but are you aware of the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Hey, I'm Kevin Bacon.
It's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I'm Kevin Bacon.
Have you got any idea how you connect to Kevin Bacon?
Yes, I do you want me to tell? Do you want me to?
Yeah. If you, it might be different to what I've got here. You might have a better answer.
I think didn't he kill me in an X-Men movie?
Oh wait, no, yeah, that's very. See what I've got here is different to that, but that's a way more direct. That just shows how rubbish this website is. Because
That's
what
all
it said
right.
to me, it said Kevin, it said your name, Tony Curran, and then it said Pearl Harbor, then it said Dan Aykroyd, then it said she's having a baby to Kevin Bacon. And that's a much longer list, but he actually
Wow.
killed you in X-Men.
Yeah, I think he did. What was the Dan? What was the? Was he in Pearl Harbor?
So Dan
Yes.
Aykroyd was in Pearl Harbor, yeah, and he was also
So
in She's Having a Baby,
and
which
Kevin
Kevin Bacon
Bacon
is
was
in.
in. What was Kevin Bacon in? Was he in Pearl
Kevin
Harbor?
Bacon was in
No.
She's Having a Baby.
Right. And how
Right,
does
yeah.
what's the correlation between
So
me
it's
and
so it's
oh
the list. So you're basically it has to be
right?
your name,
I
a project
see.
a project
He was
you've
yeah.
worked on,
Dan
and then
Aykroyd was in Pearl Harbor, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Yeah. But
yeah, no,
actually, you're correct. You've
yeah,
beaten the.
my old pal Jason Fleming called me up, who played this character in X-Men First Class
Mm.
with Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy, um, and they shot it at Sony, and it was like it's another little cameo, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. You play this agent and you try to stop Magneto, but it's not actually Magneto. It's Fassbender plays the young Ian McKellen, I take it, but at this point, Kevin Bacon's running amok with Magneto's helmet, and basically, he comes out, and I run out. And I think I said to the director, "Can I improvise this?" And he went, "Well, what are you going to say?" And I said some silly line like, "If you put your hands in the air, or I'm going to drop you. Put it down. I'll put it down. Or I'm going to drop you." Something silly like that. And he ended up doing it. But then I think he did one of those Magneto hand gestures, and he killed me. So is that one degree of separation
Yeah,
then?
it is. You basically you've worked with Kevin Bacon, so you won the game. You won the game. That's funny
He's
that
a
they got that
sweetheart.
wrong though.
Is
That is yeah, it's completely inaccurate. The whole thing's been debunked now. I can't use that website.
unbelievable? Yeah, rip it
I'll have
up
to do
and
my own
start again.
homework now. And
Unbelievable.
the last thing I want to ask you is, I mean, your story about Pearl Harbor was actually really great and kind of like not an embarrassing story, but like a pressure cooker story where you're thinking, oh my God, where's this going to go? Is it going to go
Right.
wrong? But do you have an embarrassing story? Something like you maybe a casting story or a story on set where, something you were corpsing maybe or something went wrong, a story that you're willing to share with us.
Most embarrassing moments, yeah.
So I'm sorry I'm such a name dropper, but I have worked with
Go
some of
for it.
these cats. So I'm on a TV show called Luck. It's
Oh yeah, amazing show.
Michael Mann, basically. Michael Mann. It's about horse racing in California, and it's got Dustin Hoffman in it. He's playing one of the characters. I'm playing like this, bodyguard type character. The U.S. Open is going on at Pebble Beach at this point. We're filming downtown LA. I come into the makeup trailer. Someone says, "Tony, I've got my phone. I'm watching a bit of the U.S. Open golf on my phone. I like a bit of golf."
Of course.
Yada yada. And then, of course, and Dustin Hoffman goes, "Oh, hi, Tony, nice to meet you, Dustin." And I said, "Nice to meet you, Dustin." And I shake his hand, and he goes, "Oh, you're watching the Open?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, keep me posted." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool. You like a bit of golf? Yeah, I'll tell you who's." I said, "Oh yeah, Mickelson's 5 under right now." Or, "Oh, cool." So it's later in the day, and we've shot some stuff, and I see Dustin Hoffman coming out the bathroom, and he's got his jacket on. He's trying to get his sort of his suit jacket on, but he can't quite get his hand in, and he comes up to me and he looks at me, and I go to help him. And he's like, "Oh, thank you." And I help him put his arm in his jacket. And as I'm doing that, he goes, he sort of smiles, and he goes, "Watson." And I go, "Holmes." And he goes, "What?" And I go, "Sorry, I thought you were Watson, Holmes. I thought you were being funny with Sherlock Holmes, And he went, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, sorry, I was just being. He said, "No, Tom Watson. What is he?" And I went, Oh shit, yeah. Oh yeah, Tom's Tom's two under. He's two under par. He just at the turn. He's like, oh, okay, cool, thank you. He's sort of fucked off.
I love how you took the
just,
dive. You're like, I'm gonna commit.
I just sort of stood there. Yeah, I was like, what? Holmes, and he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I thought you were being funny. He's like, no. Anyway, of course, I felt like a bit of a dick, but no, he was talking about the wonderful Tom Watson. So anyway.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Tony, man. Really enjoyed this, and I genuinely we had Jason Fleming's been on here actually. He told a very funny story about Sean Connery, which
Oh yeah.
using the word cunt, which
yeah, he did. He told you that story. Oh my god!
And it's brilliant.
I was standing behind him when he said that. Yeah.
Oh really?
We're on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and we're doing a scene where we're on the bridge of a submarine. The submarine is on a green platform with a green back screen, and then a step down to the ground. It's like on a stage. And Big Sean is walking across the stage. And he's walking towards me. He's old like this. He's like, and he's walking towards the stage like this. And he gets to the stage, and I'm already on the stage. And the step up is about, I don't know, 1.5 feet. Probably more than an 82-year-old man can do without a step or an assistant. And I go, oh, fuck. Okay, he's on his own. There's no step and there's no assistant. So I put my arm out to him and I go, Sean, here, take my arm. And he looks up at me and he grabs my arm, and then I look down at him and I grab his hand. And then I have this moment where I go, how hard do I pull? I don't know how hard to pull because it's Sean Connery. And he looks up at me and he goes, well, pull, you cunt. Oh shit, Sean Connery has just called me a cunt. Oh no. So I pull him up, and then he's like, Jesus Christ, and he walks off, and I'm like, oh my god, I did that so badly wrong.
A quick one, because it's a good one. He was dancing with my mother in Prague, and I see Sean Connery. My mum start hitting Sean. He's sort of joking, hitting her, and I'm like, what is he doing? What is he doing? And I go over, and I'm in my 30s. I'm a young man working in Prague. My mum's dancing with Sean Connery. She's 5 foot. Mary, he's 6'4". We're all a bit tipsy. It's the producer's birthday. I'm like, life is good. And I go over and I say, what was going on here? And he goes, oh, I was just asking your mother. I said you're the spitting image of your boy. And she goes, oh, I get that a lot, Sean. And my mum says, well, apart from his beard, because I had a little beard at the time. And Sean went, well, that's only a matter of time. So so that's when she went, yeah, cheeky bastard, and started hitting.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's another great Sean Connery story.
Jason told you that see you next Tuesday story. That's
crazy. Yeah. I'll have to send you. I'll send it to your agent, and they can forward it on to you. But his clip is so funny the way he tells. But anyway, Tony, I'll let you go. I've taken enough of your time, but really appreciate it, man. Great to talk to
Elliot,
you, and
good luck with
everything. Thank you, mate. Yeah, all the best, man.
Maybe
take care.
I'll see you in London at some point. I'll see you in London. Take care.
Yeah. Nice, man. Take care.
Yeah, man. Bye. Good luck. Bye, buddy. Bye.
It's a Laughing Film, motherfucker. Subscribe and like and follow.
Thank you to our guest Tony, and thank you to CESD Talent Agency and Scott Marshall Partners.